YouTube battle community, tennis fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens, and we are here today to talk about Tennis's brand new EP released at the end of 2017, We Can Die Happy Now, a very cheery title. Tennis is a pop duo from Colorado, made up of Patrick Riley and Alina Moore. They're a husband and wife team. They've been making albums for I want to say like 7 or 8 years now at this point, I think since their first album came out. And their growth and development over those 7 or 8 years has been exponential. Each thing they've put out since then has been better than the last one, and they continue to get better and better. Their style started off with more of a lo-fi, Phil Spector, Wall of Sound inspired kind of 60s pop feel. And as they've progressed, they've gotten a little more into like dream pop and soundscapes. And with the last two releases, the 2017's Yours Conditionally and this new EP, they kind of broadened their scope into like 70s. So they're moving up in era with time, into like this like a 70s sheen kind of pop feel, and it really really works for them. I think these last two releases have been some of my favorite things that they've ever done. I really like all the songs on this EP and Yours Conditionally a lot. They've been growing as songwriters ever since the beginning, and I think their whole thing has just been growing. So their development really, really shows. And by the time you get to something like this, their song crafting abilities and lyrical content and the way they present themselves is very, very, very well put together. So I'm a big fan of this EP myself. It came out last year at the end of the year, November 10th to be the exact date. And earlier in that year, they put out their newest full length, and it's gotten like a lot of really big reviews. I think it's probably like the most popular thing they've done so far, and they kind of followed it up with this thing, which doesn't feel like Leftovers at all, or B-sides. It feels like its own little life over here, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's not just like, oh, here's an EP just of stuff, from the end of the year just to, put them out. There really is some great stuff on here. So let's just jump into it. It's an EP. It's a 12-inch, and this repeats on front and the back. So side A is the same thing, and side B is the same thing. That's why it says side A on both sides of the label. So there's the back cover there. I love the aesthetic on this thing. The colors are very cool. The pictures are very cool. This came out on their own label, Mutually Detrimental, that they've started within the last couple of years. So they're pretty much their own little business at this point, which is really cool. They were on Fat Possum for a while. But anyway, first song on this thing, No Exit. I really like the intro to this thing. It's got this real smooth bass line, these really like calculated mechanical drums. And you just jump into this dreamy world of synth pop. Elena's voice is so like enunciated and detailed and slightly world weary, but in the anxiety there's such a charm and a love for what they're doing. It really comes across well. Mesmerizing, I think would be a better term to say, because her voice mixed with the music that they make is an excellent combination. You get lost in their soundscapes. You easily get sucked into their world. Like, it's just this cool little indie pop universe of sounds that, maybe echo the past, but they're done now. They're done with a now bent. Really dancey song. I think it's really nicely laid out. I like the bits of guitar doodling throughout this thing from Patrick. Just a great pop track. Born to be Needed. Again, great shuffling drum rhythm. He's like really joyously tapping on the ride cymbal the whole time, so it kind of keeps this like peppiness to it. From what I can figure out with this song, I think it's a song about not following societal norms. You don't have to be married by a certain age. You don't have to have kids by a certain age. You don't have to have your dream job by a certain age. And society tells us, yes, you need those things, but real life says it sometimes doesn't happen that way. And I kind of like the approach that they give off with that kind of song. That's how I write it into it anyway. But yeah, cool song. Track 3 on this thing, I Miss That Feeling, is a pretty big single for this thing right now, with a great video. And it's a song about your anxieties and how to just accept them, and accept that sometimes you're kind of weird, and everyone's going to be okay with that, because we've all got our things. I love the sing-along chorus, the steady drums, the echolating guitars and vocals. The dreamy syrupiness of the whole thing is absolutely spellbinding, and a real fun track to get into. I love the optimism in the major chords that they hit, and the combination of blending that with minor chords and some dissonant stuff. Again, that soundscape landscape they create is all their own. It's just a sweet, heartfelt, sometimes sad song, about realizing you have anxiety, and that's it. It might not go away. You just have to learn how to live with it, and might not be the most fun thing in the world, but yeah, the jamming at the end of this song I think is really, really cool. They kind of get into a groove at the end. Diamond Rings is the fourth track on this thing, and there's a really heavy echo on her vocal on this one, which is cool. And while the song itself is like super peppy and full of energy, I think that there's a lot of darkness and depth to this one for sure. I think the synth on this thing is kind of like a lumbering kind of synth, and it's really happily sung, but there's like, for me personally, I feel like the lyrics are quite depressive. I feel like it's a dark song. There's a line that's like, I see crimson through a colored slit. Like, does that mean cutting themselves or some sort of like anxiety-riddled, part of your life? So maybe it's a character study. Maybe it's not about them in particular, but it's about like a situation, fulfilling a role. I think this whole song I think is about fulfilling a role, and again, more societal norm kind of thing. But I really like the fade out on this thing. You don't get fade outs anymore, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so cool track. And the last thing on here, Building God, I think is an absolute amazing song. It's got this slow waltz feel to it, which is perfect for a closing track. It's got like a bit of that doo-wop, early 60s kind of vibe. Those guitar leads are straight out of the early 60s playbook. Walking bass line. Her vocals on this song I would call like lullaby style. They almost want to put you to sleep, but then she hits these parts and this build-up with the chorus where it just sends you to a whole different atmosphere. Until we have the world that we want, when she sings that, is absolutely amazing. The control in her voice is incredible and heartbreaking. And I love the build-up throughout this thing. The build-up to the chorus, I think, is a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, overall, I think, being 5 tracks, just an EP, it's a heck of a lot of fun. They touch on a lot of heavy subjects lyrically, I think, but the music reflects a happiness, and that balance is what makes it so attractive and makes you coming back to it. It's not just super depressive the whole way through, or super happy the whole way through. I think that, having these interesting lyrical moments really, really accent the music well, and then adding all of that into this dreamy element creates a world you can kind of escape to and be like, I can relate to this, or yeah, I know people going through that right now. And having that dreamy atmosphere kind of separates it from real life, which makes it a bit of a distraction, I'd say. But yeah, overall, I've been playing the heck out of this thing. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great EP. I'm looking forward to whatever they keep coming up with next, because I think they're on a roll here. They're on fire. They've really got a streak going right now, and I think it's cool to keep up with it. So here is the inner sleeve. You've got the lyrics, which is great. You can just easily read them, big font. And here's the label. Both sides say side A, because it just repeats on both sides, which I think was done really well. There's no wasted space on this thing, which is cool. So yeah, big fan of this EP. I don't think I've done a whole lot of EP reviews on this channel before, so this might be one of the first ones. I'd give this thing probably a 9 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. I love the energy, I love the charisma, I love the warmth and the love that went into it. A lot of care went into this thing. You can definitely tell that. So yeah, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10, only because I wish it was longer. They're on a roll here. They could have made this an album, but they made a really solid EP out of it. And sometimes that's the better way to go. So, yeah. So that's Tennis. We Can Die Happy. We Can Die Happy. Yeah, let's go with a 9 out of 10. My name is Giggens. This has been Album Reviews with Tennis. We Can Die Happy. Mutually Detrimental Records. Available now. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. So much for watching. Much for watching. Much so, thank you. And that's it. Bye-bye.